What's up, guys? Welcome back to Newswave. So this week, Wednesday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, we do have Gamescom to look forward to, and it appears that several games starting to kind of hint and tease at their appearance for the event, with one tweet in particular setting the internet absolutely buzzing, and we're going to go over all of that here today. Also, we're going to talk about that new PlayStation 5 revision that appeared in a manual weeks ago online. Well, now the system itself is appearing online, and we're also going to talk about WWE 2K22. It had its official release month announced, and it was a bit surprising. Guys, if you enjoy these videos, make sure that like button helps out a ton, and if you're new here to the Spawn Wave channel, make sure you subscribe down below and ring that notification bell so you can keep up to date with all the uploads here on the channel. And we're going to start today with one of the games that will be at Gamescom, and I'm pretty excited for this one. We can head over here to Twitter. This from Jeff Keighley saying, Wednesday, Turtle Power. Tune into Gamescom Opening Night Live for an announcement and world premiere new look at TMNT Shredder's Revenge. Now, this is exciting stuff because when we first saw Shredder's Revenge, I think a lot of us got excited because it's an immediate callback to something like Turtles in Time or Hyperstone Heist, that old school arcade action game with the turtles. And yeah, I'm very excited for this one. Now, it's still slated for 2021, so I'm expecting a release date here or an unfortunate delay into 2022. I'd like to think that we're maybe a month or two away from being able to play this game, but we'll see anyway on Wednesday. As for maybe gameplay and possibly a deep dive into it, I'd just like to see more about the game, and then maybe talks about multiplayer. They did mention that they have some stuff they would still like to go over when it comes to multiplayer, so maybe online co-op. There's a lot of things they could do there, and I'm hopeful for that, but right now, I just want to know when we can start playing this game. Also, here's a weird story that was unfolding all last week. It has to do with Soulja Boy and Atari. Now, apparently Soulja Boy was on a live stream. It was later posted up on YouTube and then around the internet, where he talked about his ownership of Atari. We can see this direct quote from PC Gamer saying, I own Atari, the first rapper to ever own a video game company. Soulja Boy adds that Atari is apparently going to buy the Soulja Boy console company for a cool $140 million. I signed 2 deals with Atari. We're going to take it to the next level, know what I'm saying. And then, well, Atari decided, wow, a lot of people are talking about Soulja Boy owning us, so let's just put this tweet out here to kind of get rid of all of those rumors where they said, we know that CEO of Atari is a dream job, but that honor belongs to Wade Rosen. You know, I would really like to explain to you what's going on here, but it's as nonsensical to me as it probably is to you right now if you've heard about this for the first time just now. Who knows? I mean, maybe, I guess Soulja Boy woke up and was like, you know what? I would like to be in headlines today. I own Atari. Maybe next week he'll own EA. Who knows? Oh, and Madden 22 reviews started to hit the internet. This came out, last week, and they're not going over that well, go figure. We can see this over on Metacritic as an example, where we are waiting for more and more reviews to come in for different systems, but it looks like the Xbox Series X version is currently posting a 67 and a 0.8 on the user score. Something that was kind of funny, I had this pointed out to me, and yeah, it was a bit of a laugh, was over on IGN's review on YouTube, it looks like it was getting downvoted pretty bad. They gave it a 6, which, I mean, with how modern review scales are now, most people consider that just bad. But according to a lot of people in the comments, that's not bad enough for Madden. People are looking for like 2s and 3s. I mean, the game is at least functional, so I guess for most with the review scale now, it's going to be above a 5. But I think a lot of people now are they're just fatigued on Madden. I mean, I see most people who are usually big fans of Madden don't even really talk about it in like the best terms currently, and they're thinking about things like, oh, when can 2K come in and make a football game? Well, right now, it appears they're going to do something more on the arcade side, and I guess maybe next year we'll see more about that, but that's still 2K. Like, they'll work the microtransactions and they'll try to do yearly releases. Similar to EA, I'd just be more interested in the competition, because right now, it doesn't seem like EA is feeling much like really pushing things here, with Madden 22 being the latest example. And guys, with some of the quick news out of the way, let's get into the bigger stuff. Let's start right away with a couple of games that could be at Gamescom. One seems like a lock, the other one I'm not so sure about, but let's start with the one that I do expect to be at Gamescom, and that is a new Saints Row game. But it's not going to be like Saints Row the 5th. No, this appears to be a full reboot of the series, which I think is a good idea, because the series, while I do still find Saints Row to be fun, I do kind of see it getting maybe a little stale or kind of running its course in its current form. But if we go over to the website now for saintsrow.com. We can see we have like kind of the wall with graffiti on it, and then just says rebooting directly in the middle. And we have also seen the Twitter account also start to tweet things out kind of around the idea of a reboot and being shown at Gamescom on Wednesday. Now, this is going to be from Deep Silver, Volition, and obviously Co-Media alongside of THQ Nordic. And the thing with Saints Row, we've had Saints Row released through several ports recently, right? Like, I mean, there was a lot of talk around the Switch. We also had kind of remasters of Saints Row. But for the most part, what we had, Gat Out of Hell, that was 2015. Saints Row 4 was 2013. Saints Row 3rd, 2011. So if you go back to just the numbered and you kind of take Gat Out of Hell out of the picture, we really haven't had a new Saints Row game since 2013. Like, so it's been a while, and it makes sense that they would possibly be working on maybe looking at the franchise in a different light, because for the longest time, we would have Saints Row games come out every 2 to 3 years, and Grand Theft Auto games were coming out a lot then as well, and Saints Row was pretty much a way to make fun of the Grand Theft Auto game itself. I mean, they had a lot of kind of jabs at Grand Theft Auto, but since then, it's been pretty quiet since GTA 5 has existed forever now, it feels like. So maybe Volition's looking at Saints Row and saying, you know what, maybe we could do a full reboot of the series. And that's the part I'm really curious about. Would they go back and maybe take a more serious tone with Saints Row? Because Saints Row has always been off the wall, zany, and they would just have a ton of fun. And yeah, at times just be completely supernatural with some of the stuff it was doing, but it was always doing it, try to get a laugh, right? And be over the top. But would they go back and try to take a more grounded approach with Saints Row? And would fans of the Saints Row series now up through 4 and Gat Out of Hell be all right with that? Or do they like kind of the over-the-top nature that we've had recently? Because, I mean, there's a void right now to be filled with GTA 5 being around since, 2013 is going on its third generational release. So maybe there are people who are like, well, we're not getting GTA 6 anytime soon, but this new serious-looking Saints Row could be the next best thing. So I do fully expect to see an announcement for a Saints Row reboot on Wednesday. So exciting stuff for that one. And then the big thing there will be, when's it coming out? Probably 2022. I don't think it's going to come out this holiday if they're announcing it in August. So look forward, I guess, to that. It could be even earlier 2022. It doesn't have to go all the way until next holiday. But the other one was very interesting because I don't know if this is really going to be a thing. I kind of feel like people are reading maybe a bit too far into it, but the timing, is what got people really talking and speculating on the idea of Resident Evil 4 Remake. Yeah, let's take a look on Twitter. This was posted up by Resident Evil saying 4 itchy tasty. Now, this is from a log in Resident Evil 1. It's infamous in the series. The thing that was catching a lot of people off guard was 4. Why is there a 4 there? And that's what's created a lot of talk and a lot of people coming up with their own theories around this. I do kind of think they're maybe just posting it up for fun, because from what we heard with Resident Evil 4 Remake through different rumors and speculation, all this, it sounded like there were some issues behind the scenes. Could have been related to the pandemic where a lot of remote work had to take place kind of, out of nowhere at the time. But it appeared that they had to kind of shift their vision and reboot the series, or at least the game that they were doing based on Resident Evil 4 and kind of the series as they went along. So I'm not sure if this game would even come out in 2022, so I don't know why they would look to reveal it at Gamescom. We've seen a lot of these Resident Evil games get revealed with Sony. So, like, if Resident Evil 4 Remake was going to get revealed, I would expect it, like, next year in 2022 to set up a 2023 release and be in, like, a Sony state of play. So I hate to be a wet blanket on this one, but I'm not expecting Resident Evil 4 Remake at Gamescom, but a Saints Row reboot I am expecting. So either way, it should be a lot of fun. We're seeing TMNT and a new Saints Row game, and who knows what else Jeff Keighley has in store for us there. So exciting stuff for Wednesday. Next up, let's talk about a new PlayStation 5 system revision that appears to have now gone on sale. This was made reference to in a manual that was posted up online out of Japan, and we've been kind of anticipating this system to hit store shelves, will really online retailer shelves and then get swooped up by bots. But nonetheless, we do have some images of the system, as well as that screw that has apparently been changed now, which we can see this over on VGC. This was via press start, where we can see some of the images here that does include the model number, which now is CFI 1102A. And the big change here, which you can see was the screw. Now, the screw on the bottom that holds up, for the stand that you would then shift around depending on the orientation of the PS5, standing up or laying on its side, was something that you would get a flathead screwdriver out, and you'd have to unscrew it there, or I guess you could use technically a coin if you needed to, but it wasn't as, convenient as people would like, and Sony obviously took the feedback and recognized this because they added this kind of plastic cap to the top of it. It still has that spot for a flathead screwdriver, but with the rivets on the side, it does appear to be something you would then be able to hand tighten and loosen. And you can see some of the documentation here from the Japanese manual, but the other difference is that it's 300 grams less than the original hardware. The original manual that we saw online had to do with the digital PlayStation 5. This one, though, is the base PS5 that would take a disc and all that. So it does appear that this is just going to be a sweeping change across the board. And again, the biggest difference will be that screw being, I guess, able to be changed out a bit easier on the fly. Although I feel like most people, they set their PS5 up and then they don't really touch it. I mean, it's massive as it is, so I don't think people are just carrying it around or anything like that. And they're hard to find, so I feel like people are even just afraid to touch their PS5, really. But I don't know if this was a massive issue for most people. It's just nice that Sony decided, hey, let's revise this a bit and make it a bit more practical. Now, there have also been some reports that Sony would be moving to a smaller fabrication for the chip inside the PS5, which I guess would benefit them from better yields and more chips out the other end of the factory, which would then enable them to create more systems. Sony is trying to figure out all of this with a very popular system and this whole chip shortage thing. They need to figure out their supply chain, obviously, and that's what they're working towards. This just appears to be a revision that they were already working with, and here we are now with a different type of PS5 that's then also going to morph once again as we go into 2022. So if you have not picked up a PS5, most likely in the coming months, you'll be able to get one where it's a bit easier to tighten and untighten that screw without a screwdriver. Next up, let's talk about Call of Duty and Activision, specifically what all of their studios are up to, because this article started to make the rounds and people weren't too happy about it because it does appear that basically all of Activision studios are just working on Call of Duty, whether that be Warzone or Vanguard. This isn't too surprising to me, but nonetheless, let's head over here to VGC, where they say Activision confirms all its core studios are now working on Call of Duty. Some 2,000 employees are thought to be developing the series. Development of Vanguard is led by Sledgehammer Game, with Treyarch handling Zombies and Raven leading Warzone. Additional development support across the two games is coming from Beanox, Demonware, High Moon Studios, Activision Shanghai, and Toys for Bob. Now, there is a bit more talk around Toys for Bob maybe also doing some other work elsewhere while running support here for Call of Duty and Warzone. Kind of the same for Sledgehammer, as they may look past Call of Duty after Vanguard has shipped. But again, this shouldn't really surprise anyone, as Call of Duty is the big moneymaker for Activision. They need to make sure Call of Duty gets out this year, and they need to make sure that Warzone, which is massive right now for them, continues to get updates. And they're also working on development of a mobile Call of Duty game, and just it's all Call of Duty there, basically. So unfortunately, that means, yeah, anything that maybe Toys for Bob was considering, maybe even pitching, that could be around Crash Bandicoot, for example, or Spyro, that's going to go on the back burner for a bit now. But we'll see what happens when Call of Duty Vanguard releases in a couple of months here, that maybe as we go into 2022, Activision will look around and say, let's try something that's not Call of Duty. And then they'll probably just develop Call of Duty all over again. And in our last bit of news, let's talk about WWE 2K22. Now, they missed last year with a new WWE game, and a lot of us assumed, okay, well, if they're missing last year, they're taking the time off because they want to revamp or work on the series a bit more, and then I'm sure they'll come out with a brand new one this October or November, 2K22, and then they'll be back to business as usual, releasing on a yearly schedule. Well, we had the official trailer release that had the reveal for when the game is coming out, and it surprised me. Really, it did, because I thought it was going to be coming out in a couple of months here. No, it appears to be releasing next year in 2022. Now, it's not like late into next year. According to the website and then the trailer that they released, it's coming out in March. Now, the trailer footage they showed, it looked a lot better. The in-game models look better. I'm not 100% sure on the gameplay yet, because we haven't seen them sit down and actually play it and talk about the controls, or maybe a new grappling system or striking system, counters, there's a lot that goes into these different wrestling games. But it does appear there could actually be a strain on the relationship between WWE and 2K. At least that's according to Sports Gamers Online, where they say SGO has learned that there's been infighting regarding direction of the game. 2K Sports and WWE have been going back and forth on pushing back WWE 2K22 since almost immediately after the game was announced. Most of those within WWE wanted the game to release in its normal Survivor Series window. Those from 2K Sports and Visual Concepts, on the other hand, pushed hard for a delay of the launch. I mean, we saw what happened with the last release, that being 2K20, the bugs, the glitches. It became more meme-worthy online than actually playing the game. That's what was getting passed around, not like, oh, look how cool this TLC match ended up being, right? Someone off the ladder all the way up to top and it fell through a bunch of tables. Stuff you'd only see in a video game, right? But no, it was more or less, actually, stuff you would only see in a video game with some of the glitches and weird things that were going on. So it's not great to have your game and your brand just kind of laughed at because of the technical issues in it, but that's where we are right now with these different wrestling games. Yeah, I think their biggest issue here, because part of it is, oh, they're apparently butting heads over the idea of some of the wrestlers in the game now are outdated because WWE has been letting a lot of their talent go over the past several months. So there are characters in there that aren't actually with the company now, but really the way they should be looking at this is, instead of trying to do a yearly release for these WWE games, they need to drop the yearly 2K stuff at the end and go back to what they used to do, which was just different names for it that they came up with, like SmackDown Shut Your Mouth, Here Comes the Pain, Day of Reckoning, right? Like, that made a lot more sense and was way more memorable. Like, who really remembers WWE 2K17, right? The only reason I remember 2K18 is because it was so bad on the Switch. But I mean, how many people remember No Mercy, right? From the 64, or again, Here Comes the Pain. It's just that those titles bring back a ton of nostalgia and memories over these yearly numbers. And I mean, let's face it, we're in the era right now of live services and just constant updates. You don't have to release a game every single year when you can release DLC and extra content as you are then also working on the next big wrestling game in the background. It just seems very short-sighted to consistently do yearly releases when clearly Visual Concepts needs more time to work on these different games. But we'll see what happens in March when 2K22 drops. And before we go to the comment of the day, we'll take a little poll that I posted up yesterday where I asked, how old does a video game system need to be for you to consider it retro? 13% said at least 10 years old, which that would make the 3DS retro then, so I'm not 100% sure on that one, but 25% said at least 15 years old, 53% said at least 20 years old, and then 9% said more than 25 years old. Now, I put this poll up because over the weekend I did a video on the Xbox 360. It's turning 16 in November, and I said, you know what? This is Microsoft's retro system. Not everyone agreed with that one, but I mean, I thought about it a bit and said, all right, well, 4 years ago, a lot of people were saying the GameCube was retro when it was 16 years old. So like the 360 is that same age now, and yeah, I would say it's probably retro. And we'll finish up with the comment of the day as you're seeing here. This is from Dude saying, I'd actually like an Oblivion remaster, remake, or port. And I think there is going to be a future where Bethesda goes back and gets one of their older Elder Scrolls games, probably not all the way back to the beginning, but starting with like Morrowind and bringing that up to their newer engine, the one we're seeing with Starfield right now. And I mean, this could be a decade plus in the distance, since Elder Scrolls 6 probably is going to be out for a while. But I think the idea of them going back and doing a remake of something like Morrowind would be really cool. I know Oblivion is still a fan favorite, but like, let's face it, Morrowind kind of needs that treatment. And I mean, it's cool to see the fans go back, and they have done remakes or like bringing them into like Skyrim, for example, through modification tools. But like for Bethesda to go back and really remake it in the new engine, I think would be really, really cool to see. And I mean, grabbing Morrowind and bringing that up would probably be a new experience for a lot of people then anyway. And ladies and gentlemen, that's gonna do it here for Newswave. If you enjoyed this video, guys, hit that like button, really helps out. If not, hit the dislike, leave comments down below about everything we talked about here today, whether it's Gamescom coming up on Wednesday, you're excited for Saints Row getting a reboot, or TMNT, or are you holding out for that Resident Evil 4 remake surprise? Let me know about that one. Also, what about the PlayStation 5 new system revision with the new screw? And then WWE 2K22. Are you surprised that it's not going to be around for this holiday and they're pushing it to next year? And how should they go about these wrestling games now going forward? Thanks guys for watching, and I'll see you next time.